In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Students, we were talking about UV visible spectroscopy and we are now starting with that of the instrumentation second lecture. It is the third lecture of UV visible spectroscopy but the second for instrumentation. We will talk about different components of the instrumentation here. Wavelength selectors, these are of three types: filters, monochromators, interferometers. We will talk about the detectors, photon transducers, thermal transducers, and photon transducers are then consist of diode array detectors and photomultiplier tubes. And then we have charged coupled devices. We will talk about the brief introduction of the CCDs as well. Monochromatic radiations are desired for the UV visible spectroscopy, and there is an arrangement to convert polychromatic radiations into the monochromatic radiation. For this purpose, filters, monochromators and interferometers are used. We desire to select a single wavelength at which that analyte give response or that analyte absorb the radiations, but all these monochromators, filters and interferometers are are not capable to give that only single wavelength, but instead they give a band of radiations, and that bandwidth is called to be an effective bandwidth, and it is taken at that nominal wavelength which is required and which is a sample is sensitive for which wavelength. Ideal selector should have a high throughput, means it should give the maximum amount of the radiation taken from the sources, and the maximum amount or intensity of the radiation should fall at the sample. A narrow effective bandwidth provides a high resolution. Two factors are there. This bandwidth, whenever this bandwidth will be a narrow, the resolution will be greater. But whenever the throughput, which is the greater intensity given by the monochromator, that greater throughput or higher throughput will decrease the resolution, and always high resolution is required. So in order to get the better resolution, we would make the bandwidth lower, so that one monochromatic device, that one monochromator will be used, which will give the narrow bandwidth in order to get the better resolution. The simplest method for isolating a narrow band, or a simple method to convert a polychromatic radiations into monochromatic radiation, is the use of filters. Filters are of two types: absorption filters, interference filters. Interference filters will be detailed discussed in interferometers, while the absorption filters are just like that of a colored glass. As the colored glass absorb one type of the radiation, and the second type of the radiation will be emitted from that. For example, if it is absorbing the green color, the complementary color of that green color will be evolved. But these will give the bandwidth in between 30 to 250 nanometer, which is a very large bandwidth, and a source made as a monochromatic radiation selector will not be a good source. So absorption filter are not taken to be the good source because their bandwidth is much higher, and also their drawback is they only give the 10% intensity of the emitted radiation, means 90% of the radiations are absorbed, only the 10% are emitted from the absorption filters, while interference filters uses the constructive and destructive interference method in order to isolate a narrow range of the wavelength. These are expensive than that of the absorption filters, and their advantage is that they may have the narrow range of the wavelength in between 10 to 20 nanometer, as well as their output is about 40%, which was 10% in case of the absorption filter. So interference filters are preferred over the absorption filters due to 40% output and 10 to 20 nanometer bandwidth, which is a very narrow bandwidth. Monochromators, construction of a monochromator is given here. A source of light give the light which enters an entrance slits in the monochromator. These radiations fall on a collimating mirror which reflects the radiations on a diffraction grating which is given here. This diffraction grating separates or resolves the radiations into different wavelengths. All these wavelengths will focus on a focusing mirror and then they will fall separately at the exit slit. The position of the exit slits is changed in order to obtain any wavelength. For example, at this position which is shown in the diagram, it is giving you lambda 2 radiation towards the sample. Whenever this slit will be moved slightly towards the left, it will give you the lambda 1 radiations to the sample. Similarly, if it is moved slightly towards the right, it will give you the lambda 3 wavelength. So a desired wavelength is selected here at the exit slit, and these wavelengths are obtained from the monochromators will fall on the sample, and after sample it will be detected at the detector. A narrower exit slit provides a smaller effective bandwidth and better resolution. Here the bandwidth obtained is a smaller, as resolution will be the better. These are of two types: fixed wavelength monochromators and scanning monochromators. Fixed wavelength monochromators are used for the quantitative analysis where we want to work only at one or two wavelengths, while if you want to draw the complete spectra, obtain the complete spectra, to acquire the complete spectra of the sample, then we would use the scanning monochromators, in which successive wavelengths, it allows the successive wavelengths to fall on the sample in a narrow range of time. So two types of monochromators, fixed wavelength monochromators and scanning wavelength monochromators, are used in order to convert polychromatic radiations into monochromatic radiation to fall on the sample in UV visible spectrophotometers. Interferometers or interference filters, we have named it. Instead of filtering or dispersing the electromagnetic radiation, an interferometer simultaneously allows source radiations of all wavelengths to reach the detector. The radiations emitting from the source would fall on a beam splitter, which would allow half of the wavelength towards the fixed mirror and half of the wavelength towards the moving mirror. Then after reflecting from the mirrors, these radiations will again collected at the beam splitter. After this collection, they will be reflected towards the sample, they will fall on the sample and will reach the detector. A moving mirror is slightly moved either towards left or towards right in order to make the desired wavelength to make maximum constructive or maximum destructive interferences, and only those radiations with maximum intensity would fall on the sample. So it is the best method in order to get the monochromatic radiations to fall on the sample. So monochromators or interferometers are best used to in order to get the monochromatic radiations to fall on the sample within a narrow band. As the moving mirror changes position, the wavelengths of the light experiences maximum constructive and maximum destructive interferences will fall on the sample and will reach the detector. So interferometers are considered to be the best to give the monochromatic radiation. The signals at the detector show intensity as a function of movement of the moving mirror. Moving mirror positions is expressed in the units of distance or times, and detector shows the intensity of the radiations as a function of these units, distance or time. Result is called as interferogram. Time domain spectrum, it is also called as time domain spectrum. The time domain spectrum is converted mathematically by a process called as a Fourier transform to normal spectrum, and this normal spectrum then will be called to be a frequency domain spectrum. It is intensity as a function of radiation's energy. What are the advantages of interferometer? The first advantage, which is also called as Jacquinot advantage, is higher signal to noise ratio. Why higher signal to noise ratio is obtained here? Because there are no slits used in case of interferometers, which were used in the case of monochromator. So no radiation is absorbed. The total radiations from the source are used to make it monochromatic radiation, so a high throughput is obtained. Similarly, high throughput, which is 80 to 200 times greater than that of a monochromator, and it improves the signal to noise ratio. The second advantage is also called as Felger's advantage. It is the saving in the time, because it uses the whole spectrum. Since all frequencies are monitored simultaneously, entire spectrum can be recorded approximately in 1 second, while the time taken in case of scanning monochromator was 10 to 15 minutes. So it is much rapid to get the spectrum of a sample. Uh, Two advantages are there. One is the higher throughput, which improves the signal to noise ratio. The second one advantage is the saving in time. It takes 1 second as compared to 10 to 15 minutes in case of monochromator. So interferometers are taken to be the best tool for conversion of polychromatic radiations into monochromatic radiations. Detectors, transducers, photon transducers, thermal transducers are taken to be the good detectors in case of UV visible spectroscopy. Photon transducers consisting up of semiconductors as a photosensitive surfaces are called as photon transducers, and these are also called to be the diode array detectors. When semiconductors absorb photons, valence electrons move to the semiconductor's conduction band, producing a measurable current. Photons of light are absorbed by the semiconductor, electrons are produced, and those electrons will be in the form of measurable current, will give you the value of the photons of radiation or strength of the photon of radiation. One advantage of silicon photodiode is the easily miniaturized, means the value of current can be made zero easily here in case of silicon after the use. Groups of photodiodes may be gathered on a single chip. For example, each chip or each photodiode is of 25 micrometer per diode. If we collect 2048 this type of diodes, they would only cover a linear space of 51.2 millimeter, which will be called to be a diode array. So arrangement of diodes is used as a photon transducer and as a photodetector in UV visible spectrophotometers. By placing photodiode array along the monochromator's focal length, it is possible to monitor simultaneously an entire range of wavelengths, not one by one, but the total entire range of wavelengths at a time can be monitored at the photodiode arrays. The second one type is called as photomultiplier tubes. These are actually consist of a photocathode on which a radiations from a slit or a window passes and fall. This photocathode produces an electronic current. This electronic current passes through a channel or passes through a series of diodes. Each diode accumulates it. Each diode increases the strength of this current. After passing so many diodes, this current is collected here at the anode. The emission of electrons is amplified through a series of diodes, and then it is achieved by the anode, which would produce a corresponding current of these photoelectrons, and this corresponding current will be directly proportional to the incoming photon energy. So photomultiplier tubes actually increases or amplifies the incoming photons in the form of the currents, and then will give it to the outputs. Photomultipliers acquire light through a glass or quartz window. This is the glass window. Here light enters, falls on a photocathode. This photocathode emits electrons which would fall on the diodes. Then a series of diodes would increase these number of electrons, and at last these electrons reaches the anode, and this anode will produce the current directly proportional to the electroflux या photoelectron flux. Photoelectron flux, the current directly proportional to the strength of photoelectron flux will be produced here at anode. The spectral response, quantum efficiency, sensitivity and dark current of a photomultiplier tubes are determined by the composition of photocathode. Photocathode determines all these values. Best photocathodes are capable of responding to visible light are less than 30% quantum efficient, means they only uses the 30% of the radiations to convert into the electrons or electric current, while the other 70% of the radiations will remain as it will remain ineffective. Photomultiplier tubes produce a signal even in the absence of light, and the signals in the absence of light are produced due to the dark currents. And this dark current arises due to the thermal emission of the electrons from the photocathodes, leakage current between the diodes, as well as the stray high energy radiation which would cause the current here in case of the photomultiplier tubes in the absence of light as well. Photomultiplier tubes do not store charge, so these are the best to give response in nanoseconds. They do not store the light, they do not store the charge, so whenever the input light fluxes are there, they would give the response, they would give the electric current in nanosecond time. So these are good to record extremely fast events. The signal to noise ratio is very high in scientific grade photomultipliers because the dark current is extremely low, so these are used to be the best. Only a precaution is taken, they are remained or they are kept cooled. Thermal transducers. Thermal transducers are used for the IR radiations. Infrared radiations have not such energy or sufficient energy to measure the current or to produce the measurable current. So thermal transducers are used in order to measure the IR spectroscopy or infrared spectroscopy. The absorption of IR photons by a thermal transducer increases its temperature, and it changes one or more of the characteristic properties of these detectors, and these characteristic properties are directly proportional to that of heat or the temperature. Hence they are taken to be the good detectors, but for the IR radiation its detail will be discussed in IR spectroscopy. Charge coupled devices, these are the other good detectors, and these are frequently used in the photography as well. The good photographic cameras use these charge coupled devices or CCDs. It's a device for the movement of electric charge, usually from within the device to an area where the charge can be manipulated, such as conversion into the digital value. It is highly sensitive photon detector divided into large number of light sensitive small areas. These light sensitive small areas are called as pixels. A sensitive photon detector is divided into a large number of pixels, and these are assembled in the form of a chip. Silicon based extremely sensitive multi-channel array detectors of UV visible and near IR spectroscopy. These are considered to be the best detectors for the IR UV visible spectroscopy. Extreme sensitivity, these are extremely sensitive. Extremely sensitive means they give best response to even the small values of the radiations as well. Analysis of the inherently weak Raman signals. Raman signals are very weak. Raman spectroscopy is actually uh, a branch of IR spectroscopy where the signals are very weak. So in order to detect these signals, CCD is used. It also allows multi-channel operation, meaning the entire spectrum can be detected in a single acquisition. CCD detectors are typically one-dimensional. Whenever these are one-dimensional, these are referred as linear. Whenever two-dimensional, these are referred as area arrays of thousands of millions of individual detector elements. Those elements are known as pixels. The brighter the light and or the longer interaction, whenever one or both of these, light would become more brighter or interaction would become more longer, the more charge will be registered on these CCDs. In a typical Raman spectrometer, the Raman scattered light is dispersed using a diffraction grating. This dispersed light is projected onto the long axis of CCD's array. Raman spectroscopy, the light scattered is dispersed on the diffraction grating and a specific wavelength is projected over the CCDs in order to detect that one. CCDs acquire some degree of cooling to make the suitable. These are kept cooled to get the high grade spectroscopy. This is typically done by using a Peltier cooling. It is a method applied in order to cool down the CCDs during their work. The students should be able to answer all these questions after learning this topic. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time. Allah Hafiz.